Hey, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, January 9th, 2018. This is Walking with God. I am Kyle Walker. You're joining us on WITV7, coming out of Kansas City this fine evening. Hope everyone's off to a good start to their week. I'm glad to see that we made it on to Facebook Live here. At least I think we are. Some things are updating and some aren't. Anyway, I see we've got a few people in, so that's good. Just wanted to let everyone know, don't adjust your speakers. Yes, I am sick as a dog today. So I'm sure I do not sound like my normal, charming self, but I am far under the weather. So we are going to do the best that we can tonight and try and make it through the whole show. And if we end a couple minutes early, please don't hold that against me, as I would like nothing more than to just take some NyQuil and go to bed right now. But either which way, our phone lines are open if you want to call into the show. It's 980-202-2915. And we've got two folks in, so we'll just go ahead and jump right in. You know, last week we discussed our goals for 2018. Remember, we don't like to use resolutions, so we've made our goals. And I just wanted to check in. You know, this is our second show, but we're really only 9 days into the new year, which is awesome. So how are your goals going? Are you doing okay on them? Are they maybe becoming a little bit of a struggle for you? That happens. You know, the age-old joke is, you know, you make your New Year's resolution or your goal or whatever, and people normally stick to it for a couple weeks and then it's over. But yeah, we'll go from there. And again, I'm just trying to make sure that we're actually on the air, because my computer looks like it's frozen up. But hopefully everyone can see me. Well, maybe not. Somebody give me a yes if you can, because I've got nothing over on my end. Let me see here. I'm sorry, this is definitely not how I wanted to start the show, but I kind of have to know if we're on the air or not. Let me see. Yeah, we are. Okay, good. I'm sorry. Sorry for that delay. So yeah, again, let's go ahead and let's see how we're doing on our goals this year. I actually was talking to a few people over the course of this week, which raised some interesting points. You know, and it occurred to me, I was trying to figure out, why is it we fall so short on our New Year's goals at times? You know, we start off hot and heavy, and then of course everything falls off. And what I kind of came up with is, we let our past, and in this case we're going to go ahead and call our past 2017, but a lot of times we let our past kind of anchor us down. So if you think of like a military ship or a cruise ship, you know, they've got anchors that keep the ship in place. They're big, huge anchors that, you know, stop you from going anywhere. I'm sure everyone's familiar with what I'm talking about. Well, a lot of times we use things that have happened to us in the past as kind of our anchor. And that's why maybe we don't reach our goals in the next year like we try to in 2018, because we're letting something from 2017 still kind of to weigh us down. So, you know, what are some of the things that could anchor you? Well, a lot of times people are anchored by maybe situations at work. Maybe you are anchored by a health situation. Or, of course, maybe you're anchored by a past relationship, which is kind of what I would imagine would be probably the biggest one that really prevents us from getting that momentum heading into the new year, because we're letting something kind of weigh us down. You know, I think everyone has been held back by a relationship at some point in time. Sometimes it can take you years before you are able to kind of raise that anchor and continue on with your life, if you let it that way. You know, maybe it was the memories of what was, or instead of making, you know, you're hooked, you're anchored by the memories of what were, instead of trying to make new memories, you know, independent of that relationship. Maybe you're holding on to the hope that they might come back, and that's kind of a big one, at least I think, that a lot of people are guilty of. They might think in their minds, you know, oh, I'm ready to move on, or, you know, I'm ready for the next experience, but in the back of their minds they're still holding out hope that maybe that ended relationship, and again, this being a show for divorce, we could talk about it being your ex-spouse, or if you're just in a dating relationship, maybe someone that you had been dating previously, maybe that is the person. But if you're focused on waiting for someone to come back, you're going to miss the things that are in front of you, and that is something that can certainly anchor you down and stop you from moving on. I remember that after my divorce, people would tell me, "Oh, she'll come back. She'll come back. Give it 6 months and she'll be back. Give it a year, she'll be back." Because of the situation surrounding my divorce, people thought that things would not work out the way that she had intended, and so that she would then try and come back to me. Now that never happened, and just an honest moment between you and I. In that first 6 months to a year, if that situation had happened, it probably would have taken some very long and deep conversations with myself to decide if I wanted to go back or not. And part of me, sitting here now, part of me thinks I might have. But that's certainly something that can hinder you from moving forward if you're too busy waiting for something, maybe behind you to catch back up or to come back to you. So I know that was a big one for me. Was people would tell me this and I would buy into it, and then I'm waiting. And you might spend your time waiting for someone and miss the best thing that could ever happen to you. But just because you're not focused in the right direction, you're looking behind you instead of in front of you. And at least for me, if I'm looking behind me instead of in front of me, that's when I walk into a wall. But that's just me. Hopefully you're not as clumsy as I am. So yeah, that's an anchor from moving on. And so when we're talking about relationships, how do you start to raise that anchor? So if that is the situation that's kind of holding you back, how do you start to lift that up? And there could be a million different ways to do this. This is simply my opinion. You might think it's something different, and I would love for you guys to share that with me if you so desire. But really, what I figure, the only way that you can lift that chain, especially relationship wise, is really just one chain link at a time. And maybe it's finally time to take the pictures down off the wall. If it's a marriage situation, you probably have family pictures on the wall somewhere. If that's something you haven't done yet, maybe you still have some of the family pictures on the wall. Maybe it's time for some of those to come down, because that's just that constant reminder and that constant anchor keeping you in a situation that may or may not be the case anymore, and it's going to make it very difficult for you to move on. So maybe if it's more, if you have kids with someone, you can't really do this, but if it was just a dating situation, or if there's nothing that really ties you two together, maybe it's time to take that person's number out of your phone, because so many times you're going to get a text message and think, "Oh, is it that? Oh, nope, not them. Oh, is it that? Oh, nope, not them." And that's something that, every time your phone lights up, and maybe it's someone with a similar name, you're going to get that little twinge of excitement of, "Oh, maybe it's them." So maybe it's just time to take a number out of the phone. Another big one is, as we talked about at length here, social media. Maybe it's time to take them off the old Facebook page. Maybe it's time to quit following them on the Instagram. And you sit there and you look at their Instagram posts and you start to analyze them. And oh man, I wonder if maybe they're going to post a picture of us, from last year, or hey, who's that person in the picture with them now? You can drive yourself crazy constantly, again, looking backwards, and probably going to say that ad nauseum tonight. But if you're looking backwards at that person who you're not with anymore and what they're doing, you're looking the wrong way. You're looking behind you instead of in front of you, and you're going to absolutely drive yourself nuts. So again, these are just some of the ways that you can kind of start raising that anchor. Take the number out of the phone, get rid of the social media, take down the pictures, delete the pictures off the computer, whatever your case is. If you're holding on to their favorite t-shirt that somehow got left behind and you're clinging to it, hoping that someday they will contact you again so that they can get their old t-shirt back, it's time to send that thing to Goodwill. It's done. It's over. So again, these are just some of the ways. If they've got stuff at your place, load it up, get it back to them, get it back to one of their family members, whatever you need to do to start closing books. Because again, that's stuff that's just going to hold you back from what could potentially come your way. And I am guilty of this. I will admit it, hand to God. I am guilty of probably everything that I just mentioned to you, which is why I know. And I know that it's not such a great idea because my dumb self has done it before. Again, I've lived the divorce life for 8 years now, and so I have done some of the silly things along the way. And again, that's what we do here. We learn from my stupidity so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. I was thinking about this earlier today as I was trying to kind of come up with our conversations for tonight. Again, amongst all the cold medicine that I've been pumping into myself. So if this doesn't make any sense, I'm blaming the medicine and not me. But there's a fine line. I'm sorry. There's a fine line between hope and expectation. Okay, you can hope for something. You can hope for something until you're blue in the face. You can hope that they come back, or you can hope that you're going to hear from them, or you can hope that they have a happy life somewhere else. You can hope all you want. Me personally, I hope I win the lottery. I hope all the time I win the lottery. Wouldn't that be great? I would love to have a lot of money. That's just a hope. You don't base your future plans off what you hope for. Now, when you start expecting something, that's when things can really get dangerous. If you expect that person to come back, or if I were to live my life expecting to win the lottery, I'm going to do a lot of really dumb things that I shouldn't be doing because I'm expecting something to happen with no guarantee of it actually happening. So that, if you expect that someone's going to come back, then you're just going to be crushed day after day after day, and every day they don't come back is a day that your expectations are shattered. And who wants to live like that? And again, how are you going to move on with your life if that's how you're living? If every day that you don't hear from a person is just the worst day ever. I hate it. And I wanted to hear from them, and I expected that this was going to be the day that they were going to call me, or this was the day that they were going to text me, and then they don't, and then you're angry, and then you can't move on. So it is definitely, it is dangerous to expect. Hope all you want. That's great. There's a lot of things I hope for, but it's not what I'm building my life around. It's not how I get my happiness day after day. It's not the things that I hope for. It's certainly not the things I expect. I expect to get struck by lightning at some point in time, but it hasn't happened yet, so we're still good. Let's see. So that does it for that part. Just again, speaking from my own personal experiences, because that's really all I can do on the show is speak from my own personal experiences, because I'm the guy sitting here. Maybe your anger is health related. Mentioned that before. That's certainly a big one that has affected me. I certainly, when we're talking about, how to get through these things, I can't tell you to pick up your mat and walk. That's certainly not my deal. There's somebody much more qualified to tell you that than me. But from my personal experience, I can tell you that your health issues absolutely can anchor you down. And I've been kind of living that for about a year and a half. I've told you guys before that back in 2016, over the summer, I had not one, but 2 open heart surgeries. And that was not really a whole lot of fun. But then I let all of my 2017 be dictated by that particular health issue. I had the surgeries, and of course you have to allow plenty of time for healing, because open heart surgery is no small thing. It's a big deal, and I get all that. But even after I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, you're good, resume normal life, go ahead, go, I babied myself. I was so worried about pushing it. It's like, okay, no, the medical expert has told me I'm okay, but no, I better take it real easy, and I better not do this, and I better not do that. I was afraid to do anything in 2017. So I've told you guys before that I wouldn't call myself a runner, but I have run races. I have 4 full marathons to my credit, many half marathons. Well, in 2017, I did 1 race that was over a 5K. For me, that's unheard of. Now, again, they call me the tractor because I go far. I do not go fast. But to do that, to limit myself to such small races, it wasn't because the doctors told me not to. It's not because my heart might just jump right out of my chest like the little alien in the movie Alien that comes shooting out. No, it's because I was just scared. I was scared to really push it, to really try and do anything with it, even though I was told to. I didn't want to do it. That was my anchor that really held me back in 2017 from a lot of the fitness goals that I wanted to accomplish for myself. Now let's think about it. When we talk about New Year's goals, what do people always talk about? Fitness goals. Well, I have them too, but I couldn't meet any of them because of that particular anchor in my life. And now I'm sitting here trying to get it together in 2018 in the worst physical shape I have been in since post-divorce. Because after my divorce, I lost a ton of weight, but now I've gained some of it back because I've just not been living the fitness lifestyle that I want. And I was doing that. It was all up here. It had nothing to do with here. It was all up here. And that led to a lot of my problems. So that's another one, again, that I can speak of from personal experience that is just an anchor holding me back. So I will caution, that's my particular health journey. Yours might be different. I totally understand that. Please listen to your doctors. Please do what you're supposed to be doing health-wise. That's my story. So just want to make that abundantly clear. But again, I have made my fitness goals for 2018, and I am not letting previous health issues hold me back. Now, this stupid cold that I have right now is absolutely holding me back, and it's driving me crazy. Neither here nor there. So, okay. So those are our anchors. So we're talking about 2018. Here's my really smooth segue into the next part of the show. I actually have a visual aid here. Let's talk about my board here. All right, because we're talking about our dates. Let's see if you can see that. So right here, here's our top one. This is January 1st, 2018 to January 31st, 2018. So this is our calendar year. This is what we're talking about right here, okay? These two dates. Right below it here, I wrote this out. This is my birthday. This is February 22nd, 1980, and then we put question marks for the day that I kick out, whatever day that is. So down here, I have March 1st, 2003 through June 24th, 2010. That was the length in time that I was married. Okay, so those marriage date, divorce date. And then down here was the day after my divorce, June 25th, 2010, and I just put through today. Okay? And then down here, with my artistic ability, of which I have done, here's our anchor, and here's our waves of the nice sea that we're trying to get to. Now, what may I ask, do all these dates have in common? Okay? These are all just days, single days. The important part to remember right here is this, right here in the middle, the dash. These dashes is where life happens. And these dashes are the most important days of our lives. I don't remember the day I was born, and I'm probably not going to remember the day that I die. Who remembers their wedding day? Anyone? It was a blur. The day I got divorced took about, 4 hours out of my morning. And again, I hope you guys can see this. So this was the day after where I was probably a mopey mess. And then here's today where I'm doing this show and am sick as a dog. But everything revolves around these dashes right here in the middle. From the day I got divorced to today, I have so many experiences now that I would never have had if I was still married. And again, I'm not saying that that's a benefit to being a divorced person, but it's certainly a factor. I've gone to places I've never been. I've met people I never would have met. I certainly wouldn't be doing this show right here had I never had to endure this day. This is the day that led to everything following, that led to this show, that led to WITV7, that led to my return to church, because let's be real honest, during this period, when I was married, there was no Kyle going to church. There was no having a relationship with Jesus. There was none of that during this 7 years. All right, that came, and I didn't write the date, I should have. This should say February 24th, 2012, through the rest of my days. That was when my relationship with Jesus began, and that's how we continue on. But again, that doesn't happen if I don't have this one day. But then think of everything that's happened since. So I really want you to keep in mind, we have these dates, and they're great. Day I was born, the start of this year, and again, we're going to go to the end of the year. But we're trying to get our anchors out of the water so that we can get to these waves and we can just have our smooth sailing year. And we're not going to be held down by all the things that can bother us. So here's this. Go ahead and screen capture it, and you'll have my artwork forever. Not that you really want that. But life is lived in those dashes, and that's a thought. Ever since I first heard it, that is just a thought that I love. It's not one day, and it's not the first day, and it's not the last. It's all the days in between. It's all the days that encompass those dashes that really matter to us. And again, that for me, my biggest dash would be the day that I made it back to church, and again had two friends take me to, well, it's going to be the rest of my days, because that's when my relationship really began. Other than what you learn as a child, that's when my adult relationship with Jesus began, was that day in February of 2012 when my friends took me to church. And so that's that. I wanted to make sure to illustrate that, because the dashes are so important. Now, if we go back to our anchor analogy, even a ship with an anchor in the water, it's still going to move a little bit. Okay, the waves are going to push it a little to the right. They're going to push it a little to the left. If it's a big enough ship and the anchor isn't firmly on the bottom, you might get a little forward movement, but you're never going to get to where you want to go if you're still leaving those anchors firmly in the water. And so I just want to start the process of getting those anchors chain by chain, link by link, as it were, out of the water, so that for the rest of this calendar year, we can really start to move on, and you can really start to accomplish your goals if you're not still turning around and looking behind you and hoping for something or expecting something that may or may not happen that's slowing you down. So that's what I have there. So let's get the anchors out of the water, then we're going to set sail here in 2018. So now, if we're still using our ship metaphor, if you are on your ship and you're in the control room right now and you're looking around, all right, and you're looking for that easy flip, where's the anchor up button, you're not going to find it. The first thing you need to do, and still going with my visual aids here, first thing you need to do is find the owner's manual, and I have one right here. Boom. Okay, this is the manual that's going to help you start to raise your anchor link by link. Okay, it's right in here. Okay, so this is the owner's manual that you're going to need in order to do that. And so I know guys, gents, we don't like reading the directions, but those are directions worth reading. And you're not going to be able to hit those open waters until you start reading those directions. And then again, I gotta get some scripture in here. And we've mentioned this one before, but it's one of my favorites. But that's Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you hope and a future." Is that not what we were just talking about? I think that's what we were just talking about. Hope, future. Now see, that sounds like smooth sailing to me. Okay, so that is fitting. So if you want to start lifting this heavy chain, you've got to talk to God. All right, and he's waiting to help you with it, because he just told us. He just told us right there in Jeremiah 29:11 that that's what he wants to do. He's going to give us hope for a future. He's going to help us prosper, which is what we want to do in 2018. I want to have hope that I'm going to prosper in 2018. I'm going to reach my fitness goals. I'm not going to let my health hold me back. I'm not going to let past relationships hold me back. I am going to keep my eyes forward. And when all the stuff that's happened behind me has happened behind me. Now again, I talk to you guys every week and I use my experiences, but that's not me looking behind me. All right, I'm still looking at you guys. I'm still looking dead ahead, and that's what you need to do. That's what I'm going to do. That's what you need to do. You hold me accountable. I hold you accountable. That's how we're going to make it through 2018. And so, sorry, this cold killing me. That's what we're going to do. And now, it was not by accident that I'm kind of ending this way. If you want to talk to the guy who's going to help you in lifting this chain, again, we have the owner's manual. Now we need to talk to an expert. And if you need to talk to an expert on how to get the anchor out of the water, all you do is you bow your head, you fold your hands, and you pray. And that is how you're going to start this process of getting the anchor out of the water. It starts with prayer. And now, another just beautiful segue. Next week, Joe is back. Joe is here for his first show of 2018. And guess what we're going to talk about next week? Next week is all about prayer. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Now, Joe is my spiritual quota. he is the guy. He's a pastor. I'm not. So yeah, he's gonna come in here, and we're gonna definitely up the spirituality next week, which will be good for us. Always good for me. But next week's subject is going to be prayer. So please join us. I know I'm running a little short, but this cold is killing me. So we're gonna go ahead and close it out in prayer, and then we'll get you out of here a couple minutes early. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another week. Thank you for giving me the strength to make it through this, even though not feeling the best today. Hopefully your message was conveyed through me to everyone, and that some folks will find this helpful. Lord, keep everyone safe for the next week. Bring everybody back next Tuesday night, and help Joe and I to have a great show, and to really get the word out there on how to pray and why to pray, and as we're doing right now, just to talk to you, to have that relationship. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. So like I said, Joe next week. I did see that today is Police Officer Appreciation Day, or Awareness Day. I think I'm messing up the title, but to support, I'm wearing my Thin Blue Line Kansas shirt, because here on Walking with God with Kyle Walker, we absolutely support law enforcement. We support firefighters. We support first responders and EMT and the military and all the people who take care of us and who put their lives on the line when it's my life in trouble. I have been saved before by a firefighter. I know that the police do things daily to keep me safe. Military, of course, every active duty veteran, retired, deceased, whatever the case is, military, we always appreciate you and love you. Law enforcement, appreciate you, love you. So you guys, enjoy your Appreciation Day. I appreciate you. I know that the people watching this do. Stay safe. God bless you. God bless what you're doing. And that's going to go ahead and wrap us up for today. Again, Joe is here next week. We're going to be talking about prayer the whole time. Whenever Joe is here, I do caution that we may go over a half hour, so please stick with us if you want. If you cannot, you can always catch us on Facebook. After the show is over, the video posts immediately. iTunes, LinkedIn, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. You can find us all. Feel free to send anything, any comments you have to the show on the Facebook page. I will see them. I will answer them either on Facebook or here in person, because I would love to hear from you. Everyone have a great week. We will see you next week. Hopefully I'm feeling better and I don't sound like a frog. That's my hope. Have a good night, everybody.